That's pretty good. Well, everybody, it's time to begin. I'm sure you guys know how our grades look. We've been doing, usually Scotty has been doing a crap ton of tier lists with me. But just in case that you don't know, we have a grading system from A to F. 8 being the best bombs in the set, just something you're gonna completely change your draft for a lot of times. Just warp the game around themselves, or such good build arounds, such good tempo tools that they can take over the game in the early game, or if you build your deck a little bit differently. The B grades, everything in B is either overstated creature for its mana cost, or undercosted removal, undercosted something. It's basically undercosted cards. You would expect to pay more for these kind of effects. It could be a simple card like a creature with a lot of stats. It could be something complex. C, that's gonna be most of your deck. It's gonna be, C- would be something like a filler. C+ would be a pretty good card to have in your deck, but not quite there to be one of the better picks in the format that most Bs would be, since As are reserved for just a couple of cards in the format. These are gonna be your filler cards. We're gonna have some in this set. Some there's more cards that look like filler to me in this one, since it is a little bit more fundamental core setty. Not like old core sets, but also not as high power level as the limited that we have been getting in the last couple of years. But yeah, every deck, most of the decks, just you need to have some Ds in your deck. If you have a lot of them, something went wrong, or maybe you got a couple of As, couple of bombs, and you're fine having a weaker deck to play some game warping cards. Fs are basically unplayable cards. These are ones that we think you should never put in the deck. They are usually not worth a full card. Maybe it's 2-for-1 for the opponent while you're playing. Maybe it's just losing your tempo too much, losing your card advantage too much. So yeah, don't play these. Maybe it's a build around for constructed. That's gonna be a lot of it. We have the pluses and minuses, just so it's because a lot of cards are gonna be in B, C, and D, so it's easier for us to grade. And then we also have sometimes ceilings if we think card is a crazy good build around, but not always good in a deck, and we put something there like a higher grade, so you guys can maybe think about it when you see the card. Also, when we are doing the multicolor cards, we are gonna be having 2 grades. One grade is gonna be, this one for multicolor cards, like 1 grade is like how highly we think we are taking the card before we know we are in the color. And in color grade, on the right, we are gonna do it together, average it out, is gonna be the grade when we know like that we are Azorius. Okay, a lot of Azorius cards just go way higher in how high you pick them. But some of these multicolor cards, you just take them and you're in those colors. And that's about it. Sometimes if you're drafting best of 3, if some cards are really good in the sideboard, we might give it a sideboard just an X, not a grade, just so you think about taking those. That's about it. And let's begin. We're gonna do colorless, because that's gonna be something that every deck is gonna have access to. And the first card we got is Quick Draw Katana. It's an artifact equipment. During your turn, equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has first strike. You can equip it for 2. This is like throwback to Dominaria. It's exactly the same card, if I remember correctly, and it's pretty bad. It's 4 mana to equip.
Yeah. Yes. One question: is there an easy way to look at the pictures, like, so that I can, like, do you have this organized in a way I can look at the pictures so I can follow along that way, or how are you doing it?
You have one screen or 2 screens?
I have 2 screens.
How am I doing this on the tier list? On the set review? I can give you this. How am I do you mean how am I getting the grades in the tier list?
Yeah, like where is it organized? Because you're reading from something, right?
I'm reading from my screen.
I can't see your screen.
Aren't you sharing my screen?
We just see your face in the air. That's it. Or not? You're not even your face. We see your. I can show you a screenshot of what we're looking at here.
Do you have my stream open?
It kind of took your. I had your stream open, and then it kind of took it when we shared, when we did the collab thing. Here we go. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Yeah, all right. This is way better than what I had. Okay, here we go. All right, yes. All right, now let's go. I'm ready now.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I don't give a. I don't care about this quick draw katana. I mean, it's Dominaria was such a low power set in terms of creatures and early game and everything. So this card, what was it, a lance or something? Like it was 7-8 years ago. It was fine just because it helped out through some board stalls, and I think it's shit. I'm just gonna give it a D minus. I think it's really bad. Probably not.
Yeah, it is definitely a bad card. I like from looking at this set a little bit. I think that there may be a few more board stalls than we're used to in modern day limited sets. So like I could see this being. I don't want to say it's like the X, the sideboard designation, but there's going to be times where your opponent's playing like more of a controlling deck, and they're trying to lock up the ground or whatever, and maybe you'll play this in then. But yes, I agree with your ranking, D minus, something like that. But I don't think it's a card you'll never have in your deck, especially if you have like a kind of a broken draft where you don't get enough playables and stuff, and in that point maybe you'll side it in sometimes. But yeah, it's a bad card.
It's really bad. Don't know what it's doing here, because we have a next card. You're inputting the grades, right, in the tier list?
Oh, sorry,
no problem. I'm gonna remind you just because this is your first time. And
why is this missing?
Well, while you get a hang of it, I can read the cards. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Next up, we have Gold Vein pick, like from a crap equipment to the pick. For 2 colorless, it gives +1/+1, and whenever this equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token, and you equip it only for 1. That's beautiful. I've loved the pick since I saw it for the first time in Kaldheim, and yeah, there are no runes in this set, so it's not as good. It's that set. It was really nice. You could just buff it and re-equip for 1. Yeah. Very quickly, this pays for itself and keeps you ramping. In Kaldheim, it was probably like a B minus or something. Here, like C plus or B minus. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can give it your rating. I'm just going to give it a solid C. I'm not sure. Like, I've never been a big fan of equipments. One of the things I look for in limited cards is I want my cards to be able to trade for another card when the games get kind of grindy and stuff. And the sizing of creatures, I've noticed a lot of low toughness creatures in this set, and high, there's walls in this set again too. So it seems like this card may just get bricked off sometimes, and so it's just like kind of a solid card to me. Not going to be unhappy to play it, but not going to be super happy with like my second copy either. So I would just have it as a C myself.
I'm just gonna give it a C plus. In Kaldheim, I think it was a B minus because of the runes, but C plus here. You really don't like the pick, man. Did you like it in Kaldheim?
No. I mean, I played it sometimes or whatever, but I wasn't like... generally in Kaldheim, I didn't get to draft as much Kaldheim as would I've liked to because it was during the MPL and stuff, and there was no focus on limited during the leagues. So I didn't get to... Like, when I drafted Kaldheim, it was when I was playing Magic for fun outside of my work, which was Magic, which was, a full-time thing at the time. So it was okay, but like I generally drafted snow decks and more controlling decks type thing.
Oh, actually, I think I know. Just 1 second. I think.
I'm still trying to figure out how to put the grade. Like I had it, and then when I go Control F, it goes away to fill in my thing.
I think maybe I can make you louder. I don't know if your sound is probably... Can you say something now?
Test.
Now?
Test. Nice and clear.
Really? That's better?
What did you do? Lola?
I think I had you. So you guys are sure that's better? That we sound like the same now. I made. I think your sound was coming fine for me. Okay, cool. So this is like
Hey,
different
Gandhi,
now.
thank you for the raid. Appreciate it.
Okay, it's because I still have it on 200%, but I have my Mozilla lowered, and your sound is I think coming from the Mozilla. From the Firefox, right?
Yes, that's what I generally use.
Okay, just C+. Did you're having trouble?
I'm just trying to figure out how to put my grades in without because I go Control F to find the card and then it removes the
You can scroll to the left. There's like a scroll slider on the below.
So yeah, so I see my name and then scroll on the left and then okay, I got you. Is it just this card? Like this? Is this card not here, or am I looking in the wrong space?
Just a
Maybe I'm
second.
looking at the wrong rarity or something. No, because this is all the rarities. I just don't.
No,
Literally don't see it like in the colorless, the quick draw thing.
When you
Oh,
go.
here it is. Found it.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna put the grades for Katana. I'm C+, you're C, right?
For the, not for the Katana.
Sorry, for the pick. Nobody's C+ for Katana.
C for me. Yeah.
Okay, next up we have a campus guide, but be sure to get them in these columns, right? Just Lolman and Sigi, because everything else is gonna break the tier list. Campus guide for 2 mana.
Yep.
It's an artifact creature. It's a 2/1. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. This was Strixhaven, right? Last time that we saw it, I think, and I'm not a big fan. Like, it's a 2 mana 2/1. It was kind of okay if you really needed to hit your lands, and if you're splashing, but it was also kind of crappy if you were splashing, because it's like, for example, the Centipede that we have in this format. You play it, you get a land, and you can play your things. With this thing, you're getting a 2/1, that's never gonna be anything else. And then you need to draw that card, right? So in the developing phases, that's fine if you're okay with getting lands. But at one point, you don't want to put a land on top. You don't want to mess up your next draw. Like, is your splash so powerful that it's fine to draw one less card when you don't need a land? So whatever, just a D. It's fine. If you need it, you need it.
Yep, totally agree. Just an actual D. It's a curve filler that can enable splashes. I'm not sure we're going to be splashing all that much in this set, but we probably splash a little bit. 1 toughness is just too bad when there's plenty of random token stuff, especially in white.
There's like the cats, right? Whatever. You want to read the next one?
Gleaming Barrier. This is a callback to, I forget the names of the sets. Rivals of Ixalan, maybe? 2 mana, 0/4 wall. When it dies, you get a treasure token. Yeah, this is just a D-, maybe even, just a D-. There's so many walls in this set, and this is the actual worst one. So I can't imagine wanting to play this pretty much ever.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't say it's unplayable either. You can, if you're desperate, like, let's say you're playing a controlling deck and you're desperate for 2 drops, ways to just kind of hold the fort while you develop, then you can put this in your deck and it's not a disaster. It's still going to block, but it's not going to be a card you're basically ever looking to play.
And it's so much different to have this clause, create a treasure token on a 0/4, because it's never going to trade. Like, if it dies, it's chumping.
Yep.
So that's like, yeah. If this was a 2/2, that would be really nice. Not a defender, just a 2/2.
It's funny, like, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but there's the turtle that's an 0/5 that costs 1 mana, which this is also a set that has Ferocious as a mechanic, where there's going to be a lot of creatures with 4 power. So it's kind of a bad statted wall.
Yeah.
When there's another common wall, another color that can actually attack. Let's say you have the pickaxe or whatever, and other equipment, you can actually equip it and attack. So this is just all kinds of bad. Everything about it is bad for this.
Yeah. We are back to colorless. Like, before in limited, if something was colorless for limited, usually it needed to be really bad because every deck can play it. and that means decks really didn't like colorless cards at all. Now we're kind of getting better colorless cards that end up in decks, but this is a little bit of a throwback. X is denied for the FDN tier list. Okay, we're gonna fix that.
I'd say D minus is my rating for this, I guess.
Whoop. What grade are you giving the barrier?
D minus.
Yeah, D minus for me as well.
Yeah.
You're getting in my grades as well, right?
No. Okay, I'll do it. But yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah, that's why it's like if it's always better that one of us
sorry.
is doing it, and if it's too much for you, it's fine. Just tell me. Just so I can like move these things and worry about the stream. Next up, we got adventuring gear. Oh, I gotta I gotta change the tier list that I'm grading, that I'm sharing with you guys. Whoop. Adventuring gear, for 1, it's an equipment that says equips for 1, it costs 1. Whenever a land you control enters, equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay, so I mean, it's not that bad super early, becomes super bad super soon. There are some things that care about you having 4-powered creatures, so this could be fine with those, right? Like Garruk's Uprising and stuff. It's mostly in green from what I saw that when you care about it. So it could work there. Green can also like sacrifice. It has the Modern Horizons guy that sacrifices a land to get 2 lands in, so it's double landfall. Man, it's hard for me to grade this card. I mean, it becomes so bad so soon, and I think I'm gonna give it a D plus, like in the right deck, or a D. I think D plus in the right deck.
I would say D plus. Yeah, I was D plus. Maybe I'm off on it, and it's actually in the C minus category. But yeah, it's still pretty powerful early. We have Evolving Wilds in this set, so you can actually you can use it on defense if you have Evolving, 1 or 2 Evolving Wilds in your deck. You can actually set up a block with it, that kind of thing. Just the threat of activation of the Evolving Wilds, you can just sit and play with it, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's going to be a very good card in an aggressive deck on turn 2 or 3. But I also have an affinity for this card. One of my only ever turn 3 lethals in limited was with this card.
In limited?
Yeah.
What do you have? Double strike? What do you have?
I had it was turn 1 Core Duelist, turn 2 equip this, turn 3 another one of these plus fetch land.
Oh, you had 2 of these, you know. You had 2 of them on it. Oh my.
Limited, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And I remember that. Turn 3 kill an actual just generic limited is
so wait, so it had what, +8/+8?
Yeah, so I attack for 2 on turn 2, and then it got +8/+8, and so it was on turn 3, so it was a 9/9.
Oh jeez. Oh, yo, actually, yeah, because you had land, right? You had land. My bad.
Yeah.
Because you had oh my goodness. Yeah, you didn't even have to attack last turn.
We just didn't do anything on turn 2. It was one of those games.
Yeah. Oh lord. Okay, curve is pretty important, guys. Want to read the next one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the card. Sorry, I'm very bad at finding the cards. Yeah, I don't know why I can't.
I can.
I'll read this. You do that way. All right. So fishing pole. We got a 1-mana equipment. Equipped creature has 1 tap fishing pole. Put a bait counter on it. Whenever equipped creature becomes untapped, remove a bait counter from this. If you do, create a 1/1 blue. I'm still trying to process this card fully, but like I've read it like 6 times. I still don't really understand what I'm supposed to be doing with this, but it seems like a D minus to me. I don't know. You can make a token every turn. I don't really get.
Yeah, you can make a token every turn for what? Equip it for, you play it for 1, you equip it for 2. So that's So you invested 3 mana already for kind of do
3
nothing.
mana to make and tapping a creature to make a 1/1. Like it just seems.
No, it's not really like for you still gotta pay 1 every time you're making a 1/1, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. So it's 3 mana up front for the first 1/1, and then it's 1 mana a turn.
Yeah. So 3 and then 1. So for 4 mana, you're tapping your creature on their turn, I guess, and making a 1/1. That is so slow.
Yeah, it's incredibly slow. It is a mana sink, which in these core sets generally mana sinks are kind of rare. So like maybe we get into these stalematey games where you know, you put this on a wall or something. But I just don't see playing this card.
Is there any creature that cares about tapping, untapping?
Yeah, I was wondering that. Is there some kind of like horseshoe crab or something like that I missed? But I don't think so. I think this is just what you see is what you get. And
it does feel like that.
Yeah.
So what do you give it?
I'm gonna give it again. It's a mana sink, so like occasionally, I could see siding this in. Maybe we give it the X. It's definitely not an F, but it's not a card I'm happy to play. I don't think so. A D- or X, depending on how you wanna.
There is like, oh, are there the cards that care about counters in this set? They only care about +1/+1 counters, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this also this puts the counter on the fishing pole.
Oh, it's on the fishing pole. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything that cares about that punter. I mean, 10 turns you get 10 1/1s, I guess, but what if you have a couple of poles and I mean, there's so much mana. I don't know. Is the set gonna be slow enough to do things like this? Like if the set is slow, like for example in Dominaria, if this card was in original Dominaria, I think it would be kind of good.
I don't know. Like I don't know. It's still just so low impact until you get a lot of tokens in.
And for 4 mana, does nothing until you come back to your turn.
Correct.
It's so bad. It's so bad, man.
Yeah, it's going to require very specific circumstances. Control mirror with his walls in play or something, like where they can't interact with this thing, and you know, it is some form of inevitability. That's like the only time I would consider playing. I don't think it's going to be very good, or a card I'm ever going to want to put in my deck.
D- or an F?
I'll give it a D-. My F designations are pretty rare.
Yeah.
I would say.
Same. I'm okay with a D-. It's not straight up unplayable. Just D-. Can you put in the grades? I'm just publishing the right tier list.
Oh yeah.
Next up, you got Ravenous Amulet. For 2, it's an artifact, and for 1 and a tap, you can sack a creature to draw a card and put a soul counter on this artifact. Activate only as sorcery. That's mess. I love sacrificing an instant speed. God damn it. 4 and a tap, sacrifice this artifact. Each opponent loses life equal to the number of soul counters on this artifact. Yeah, I don't like this, man. Why? This could have been an instant speed. This really could have been an instant speed.
I agree. I mean, they don't like doing stuff like that these days, but this seems like a card that, you know, that was kind of in there for black-red with the threaten card, and you know, it's just kind of, you know, you could put it in your deck with a lot of tokens, like it goes with the fishing pole or whatever, but it's not a card I'm going to be very happy to play outside of very specific circumstances where, like, I need a sacrifice outlet or I have all of these tokens. What am I going to do with them? So I wouldn't say I will never put this card in my deck, but it would be very, very rare.
So what grade? Are we again on D-?
Looking for the last card. I'm so bad at that. Like, is this in some kind of order that I'm not understanding? The list. Sorry.
I can make it easier for you. I can put a filter on, so it's only colorless. But order is not mana value. Order is like set number there.
Oh, okay. Well, then that actually makes things easier because I can just look at the set number of the card. I didn't realize that. All right. So for this card, I'm going to give this card myself. I guess I'll give it a D- again. It's kind of in the same category as the fishing pole, maybe a little bit better though.
I think it's D-.
Yeah. Okay.
But what if it was an instant speed? Like, also, their damage is not on the stack anymore. Like, we can have sacrificed instant speed, right?
Yes, I I agree with you.
uh,
I think they just don't like it when they don't like you getting free blocks. Like they don't like the game slowing down like that, where you can block and stack and draw like to prevent damage. They just kind of steer away from that because they're want games to be faster in general. So that's why they design things like this now. But yeah, I wish they did it the other way. You make this instant speed, it's all of a sudden a card I'm pretty happy to.
Yeah, same. Pretty interesting to play as well. Want to read the next one while I'm publishing the list for everybody?
Swift Boots. This is a classic commander card. 2 mana, equip creature has hexproof and haste, equipped for 1 mana. This is just a D for me. I generally don't like playing this card. It's not a disaster if I do, but again, it goes back to my rule. If my card can't trade for a card, I'm going to be very skeptical of putting it in my deck unless it has a very powerful effect, and that's not where I would classify this.
Yeah, the pick I like because it quickly pays for itself, especially if you have some life link, which you did have in Kaltheim. Can't remember if we have it here, but there is a little bit. Yeah, it's this thing doesn't buff stats, so that's the huge problem. Like, you're paying 3 mana and 2 mana just to play, do nothing, right? And then 1 mana and it doesn't buff stats, so nothing is trading up. Hexproof is kind of nice. There are gonna be some things probably fine with it, but I hate these kind of cards. Usually, I'm also not a huge fan of equipment. Just the pick is so fast at paying for itself that it's a nice thing to use. So you keep attacking a bit and ramping up, kinda. And 1 is easy to re-equip. This is a D- for me, man. Everything is D- in these colorless cards.
Yeah.
This is, I basically never put boots in my deck.
Yeah, I don't either. But if I need a playable in an aggro deck, I'm it's not a disaster if I do. So.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you could be having a creature or a trick instead of it, and then actually pushing damage through, or getting through the blockers. Next up, we have Burnished Heart, and it's another 3 mana 2/2 artifact. For 3, you can sack this creature, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So this kind of looks like, I mean, we usually, a lot of times colorless cards are weak, just like how they design a lot of sets. This one I didn't like in an artifact set. I mean, it looks like, oh, I'm getting 2 lands, it's so much ramp, but you're paying 6 for it. Sure, it can chump, and then you can use it. But once you've used 6 mana, 6, just to get 2 lands, like, why didn't you use 6 mana to play your cards? Like, why do you need these 2 lands? How long is it gonna take for you to get this? There is landfall. There is some landfall in the set.
Yeah.
But is there enough on common?
I don't think so. There is some cute things to do with this. There's like the blue creature that stuns creatures. Now, all of that said, like the landfall stuff, that's a reason to like put this in your deck as like your last card or whatever, right? It's not a reason to look for this card to put in your deck. So it's like this will become better filler than other filler in the event that you have something to gain from the lands, whether that's a top end splash or the landfall effects. But again, this card is just underrate. The creature's too small. The effect is too slow. So it's a card you can put in your deck, but I would never be like happy to play this card. Outside of the circumstances, like I'm playing this super aggressive deck with 3 adventuring gears and some other landfall card, sure. Then you'll actively want to put this deck. But in most decks, you're never going to really want to play this card. But you might kind of be reluctantly putting it in your deck because it does add a little value over, say, a 3 mana 3/2 or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So
the things
I would give this card a flat D again. I don't think it's a D-. I don't think it's a D+. Flat D for me.
The thing's the landfall, like, you're not gonna play this for 1 damage landfall guy in red. You have the 5-drop in green that.
Good effect.
Sorry, what?
It's going to need to be a really strong effect you're getting out of the landfall. There's, like I said, there's a blue uncommon that stuns things with landfall, I believe.
And Tatioa, which draws you cards and gains you 1 life every time you get a land in. But without, like, you gotta have those on the battlefield, and they cost kind of like 5 and 6 mana. There is a 5 mana green guy that makes 1/1 elf whenever land enters the battlefield, but it seems like a really bad way to do that. Yeah, just a D. D for me as well, but I think it's gonna go to D minus. But D for now. Wanna read the next one?
Next up, Heraldic Banner. As this artifact enters, choose a color. It costs 3 colorless. Creatures you control get plus of a chosen color, get +1/+0, and it taps for 1 mana of the chosen color. So kind of the manalith of this set, if you will. I'm never happy to have this card in my deck. Obviously, if you've drafted some monocolor aggro deck or something like that, and you get the +1/+0 is extremely valuable, generally with tokens and stuff like that. Maybe you can, be relatively happy playing this. But again, this is just going to be in that D minus category for me, where you're going to really need to have a focused deck for this card to have any kind of impact. You don't want to play mana lists for ramp or fixing or any of that. They're just too inefficient. A D minus for me on Heraldic Banner.
We had this in Eldraine, right?
Eldraine, yeah, where they had the gold cards that you could cast, for green or red mana, so you had a lot more monocolored decks.
How was it there?
Bad, medium. I mean, that was a format that incentivized you to play monocolors and at all. So
wasn't it kind of
it's a way to take advantage of a lot of tokens.
So, you are getting some tokens here, like some elves.
Yeah, there's the elf cards, and there's a couple of ways to make tokens in white, like not timely reinforcements. Maybe that's what it's called. The 1/1 that makes a 1/1, and then there's a common that's a 3 mana 2/2 that makes a 1/1. Like, you get those decks, you can definitely put this card in your deck if you're making 3 or 4 extra tokens in a game. But outside of that, it's just way too inefficient.
I'm actually on a D plus. I've lowered my volume again. You tell me, guys, if our volumes are kind of similar.
Test. I'm talking right into my mic, dude. Try to.
This is whatever. We're gonna fix it at one point. Heraldic Banner is a D plus for me. I think it's gonna be fine in some of those decks. Sometimes you're gonna be making a good amount of elves, I think, or cats. Just you're not gonna go monocolored. I think there's like a no, you're gonna go monocolored, but D plus in the right deck. In the wrong deck goes lower. So I think it's gonna be okay-ish, but we're gonna see. Juggernaut for 4 mana. We got a 5/3. This creature attacks each combat if able. This creature can't be blocked by walls. Oh no, the walls. Yeah, this is bad. It's always been bad. It's been bad in Dominaria where everything was small.
Always been bad. This card's been banned before and constructed, and it's always been bad.
Okay. It's all right. I mean, it's been bad for the last 10 years or something.
20 years. It's just legitimately always kind of been bad. Even when it was banned, it was a joke. It's bad. I mean, I wouldn't say bad. I would say it's to me, this is the D plus category, where if I play this, it's not a disaster, but I'm not really happy. It's the kind of card you're like, oh, thank God there's a Juggernaut in the pack. I really needed a playable, and I can always play this. But yeah, not good. Even with the walls, there's like an 06 wall in the set that this can just attack right through. Doesn't matter. Not good enough by modern day standards. It trades with almost every 3-drop. It's just D plus for me, because you can put it in your deck if you absolutely need a 4-drop, but it's not.
D minus from me, because I really want to have like, the stats are so bad. The 3 toughness is so bad. So you gotta attack, and it's gonna be like it's gonna be trading for some 2-drops and basically every 3-drop.
There are some drops trades for. There's like the reskin 3/1 that surveils when it comes into play. that's in every set now.
Yeah, like
Every set,
4 mana 5/3. Yeah, this is a D minus for me. It's just a D minus. The 4 mana 5/3 is it would be bad, but 4 mana 5/3 with a huge downside. Yeah, we're not in that territory anymore. I mean, the card is bad enough. It could just be a vanilla creature. Not being able to block by walls. I mean, what wall is gonna block a 5/3 anyways?
There's actually a good wall in this set that can't block this.
That can block this?
That can well, it can't block it.
Okay, I mean it can't. Yeah.
There's an 06 wall, blue 06 wall. I think it's a pretty good card.
There is. Wait, I'm gonna have to find this one. Just.
It's a blue card. Blue two. I believe it's an 06. It taps to surveil.
Oh, okay. It's the uncommon. Okay, it's the uncommon 3 mana wall. All right. Well, cannot block this. Great. Yeah, D minus. I never want to put this in. Like, I want to have control over what I'm doing. If this creature was huge, then sure, I'm fine with attacking with it. But yeah, no, thank you. Next up, we got.
Quite nicely. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, what?
Oh, I guess be reading this one, right?
I think. Yeah.
All right, we got Meteor Golem, one of my all-time favorite core set cards. 7 colorless mana for a 3/3. When it enters, destroy target non-land permanent in opponent controls. This to me, it's kind of hard how we have it. I would give it a C minus. I'm usually happy to play this card, even at 7 mana in core sets. The set doesn't seem blisteringly fast to me, and there's always ways to like exploit the fact that this is a creature, recur it with raise dead effects, bounce it to your hand in some way, that kind of thing. This is going to be a bad card in an aggro deck, but in your slower mid-rangey decks, I'm always pretty happy to put a copy of this card in my deck because of how versatile it is. I suspect you'll have a lower rating.
I don't know, man. It's like when was the Meteor Golem was here in some core set and it was really good there. So
yeah, there was not the elemental one, the one before that. I forget what set it was, but yeah, it was good there.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like what is there. There is a little bit of graveyard things. You can get things back from your graveyard. There's a couple of things that can get things from the graveyard, and there's like that black-white uncommon as well. That when it dies, it gets something to the battlefield as well. Green has good ramp, I think. I'm okay with this one. What do you give it?
I give it a C minus.
I'm higher on this. I think it's gonna be good in a core set, like a lower power core set like this one, where I think you can get to 7. I'm on a C plus.
C plus, okay.
Yeah, I hope I'm not wrong.
I was pretty conservative with mine.
What?
I said I was pretty conservative with my rating. I'm going to change mine to a C because
I don't think this is. How good would this be in this set in Duskmourn?
In Duskmourn, there's so many value-oriented cards that are more efficient, right?
Yep. Great card draw and very cheap removal, so you kind of don't need this.
Yeah.
But I do think that in this kind of set, it's there are less things that you really need to get rid of, right? A lot of things are just going to be there, and then there's going to be like that 1 or 2 things, a couple of cards in on 1 or 2 cards on opponent's battlefield at most that you really want to get rid of. So I think there's time to wait to play this. I hope this is going to be good, because if this is good, then like graveyard things are probably good, and slower games and like slower decks are good.
Yeah, card draw I think will be good. So like, and that's kind of in the same category. You'll have time to get to this.
Okay, we'll want to see. I can see it going down, like if it's a bit faster. Yeah. And so we didn't go through the lands. This just on this page we have the lands later, but that's like we're gonna give every land the same grade, so whatever.
Yeah, the grades, the lands are kind
of. Next up we got, but it really we really should go through the lands. Okay, we're gonna do that later. Next up we got the rares and mythics. We're gonna see a bit less of these. Scrolling Crawler. For 3, we get a 3/2 artifact creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses 1 life. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I'm always a little reluctant to give my opponent cards, even if I'm getting cards. But it's like, you know, it is a mutually beneficial effect. They lose life from it, so it seems like a totally, like, the way you take advantage of a card like this is if you have a lower curve than your opponent, if you're able to cast more spells. So I think this card is going to be pretty good in an aggro deck, and not the kind of card you're going to want at all in a more controlling deck. Basically a 3-mana 3/2. The way that's how I would evaluate it in my head. So I would give this card, I mean, in an aggro deck, I think it's like a C+. In a control deck, I think it's like a D. And so I don't know how to like rectify that. I guess give it like a C or something.
Yeah, if your control deck against the slower, against a faster deck, this is gonna not be, this is gonna be horrible. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you are a little bit faster, faster or mid range, it is minimum of 2 damage per turn to the opponent. That's kind of a lot.
Yeah, that's right. So it is kind of weird because it seems so small, the 1 life, but you play it, they take 1 immediately. If it trades in combat, yeah, it wasn't great, but
it would be nice if it had more toughness than power, so it doesn't trade that easily.
Yeah, so it was a way to slow the game down in and of itself, and punish them for slowing the game down. Yeah, I agree.
I'm on a C+, just on a straight up C+. I think it's good. I think it's way better than a C+ in an aggressive deck. Like, kind of like maybe your top end, maybe just a 3-drop. It is fine to just have a 3-drop. Get your tricks, get opponent is, if they're not fast, they're gonna draw into, sure, maybe removal to remove this, that's fine. Yeah, opponent, yeah, this is not bad. I'm C+, just C+. I think it's gonna be a B- in aggressive decks, but C+ as a start.
Leyline Axe is up next for colorless mana. For an equipment, if it's in your opening hand, you can begin with it on the battlefield, just like other ley lines. It's the first time we're seeing an artifact ley line, which is pretty cool. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, has double strike and trample, and it equips for 3 mana. So this is basically kind of like an Embercleave, right? Except it's not instant speed. It's very expensive.
Very expensive.
So like this card is kind of hard for me to, because we have a couple things going on here. The times you have this in your opening hand, it's going to be very good, I think. The times you don't have this in your opening hand, it's going to be very clunky and slow. Are we living in a world where this format is slow enough where that isn't enough to take it, you know, down a notch? So this is a kind of a, for me, I don't think I'm going to have a very accurate, just by reading it. I'm going to have to play with it a little bit. But my assumption is, I would probably just give this a C, because I think it's too inefficient. When it's not good, and when it's good, it's still pretty inefficient. Equipping for 3 mana is a lot, but it is the kind of card that's going to make every creature in your deck a you know, must answer threat. It's going to win every combat, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to give it a C. I could see being wrong either direction on this, to be honest with you.
It's going to be like, if you're playing a slower mid-range deck, it's going to lose you the game if opponent kills that creature, basically. It's like 7 mana. You're just 7 mana investment plus the creature's cost. I don't know. Exactly. Let's say it's 3. That's like 10 mana investment. They're gonna remove that. But maybe as a top end in a very aggressive deck, because this is so much to pay.
I agree.
It is so much.
The real value is if it's in play already.
Yeah, if it's in your opening hand, it's a completely different card, right?
Exactly. That's why it's so hard. Like, is the upside worth it?
I'm just gonna give it a D+. I could be wrong. About this, but
you say D+?
D+, yeah, D+. It makes your creatures bombs, yeah, but also it does basically nothing if you're behind.
Yeah, and it's gonna be really bad against efficient removal.
Yeah, it's really bad against removal. It does nothing when you're behind, right? If you're behind, you cannot spend 7 mana for this. Maybe you're gonna get ahead because of it, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about games where you could go 2-drop, you know, the Wary Thespian into this on 3 or whatever. It's just going to end the game, kind of.
Yeah, okay, that is kind of crazy. That's why that's why I'm not giving it like a D or something. It's
Yeah,
because there are gonna be those games, and you may be mulliganed as well, so you saw like 7 cards 2 times.
yeah. This is the kind of card, honestly, it seems like it's going to be a lot worse. Or maybe it's better in. I'm trying to think of how to exploit this card with the algorithm, the hand smoother algorithm.
How does it
You're gonna
affect
have
equipment?
You're going to have it in more opening hands in best of 1, just in general, because you have more spells in your opening hands.
That's true.
So I don't know. I don't really know how to.
But a little bit more, right? It's not that much more.
Yeah. No, it's not that much more. It's just like you never have a 5.
Do you
hand.
mulligan more aggressively with this?
With this, do I mulligan more aggressively? I would definitely factor it into my mulligan decisions.
Yeah, because it's like, okay.
It's not a ton more, but if I have like, you know, one of those borderline hands and I have this in my deck and it's not in my hand, then it's kind of a reason to mulligan.
I'm okay kind of going, if the hand is not pretty damn good, if the curve is not pretty damn good, then I'm like, okay, let's mulligan, and that 1 card is fine, because I might get a chance to play this and just maybe win the game.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm gonna have to play with it. I might. This is the kind of card I'm gonna draft once or twice, and then I may just never put it in my deck again, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
But it would also be like very impressive. It's gonna really
also,
depend how the game's played.
You play the Very Thespian, right? You play the Very Thespian, the 3/1, and then it gets double strike, yeah, and then they kill it.
Yeah,
like and then they kill it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You sink a lot of mana into it. That's why like the games. If the games are going really long, it's really just about how many powerful effects you can put onto the battlefield and leverage those, right? So the fact that this isn't extremely inefficient when it's in your opening hand gives it a little value to me. But when it's not, when it's, you know, when the games are dragging on 10, 11, 12 turns or something, again, this is going to be a pretty good card to draw in those circumstances. But it's the games that end in a normal fashion. Like we're kind of in this world where we've been playing, you know, Bloomburrow and Dustmorn, curving out, doing whatever in best of 1, and it's like looks like this could never be good. But if the format slows down to a true core set, then I could see this card being pretty good. So
I don't think it's going to true core set, because it seems like it's much higher power level than core set, lower than all the previous sets in the last year or 2, but feels like it's
definitely
more powerful.
Lower. Yeah,
I think maybe this card is just good in the decks that are very good at surviving. I don't know. You're not that good at attacking, but you're pretty good at surviving. If that exists, like maybe you're making tokens, but don't have to wait to push through. You're maybe playing the walls.
Not a good card with walls.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy with walls.
Put it on the turtle though.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, D plus, but I can see it going way down, way down.
Yeah, me too. I said C because of its
You believe it's okay.
feeling.
Next up, we got Solemn Simulacrum. For 4, it's a 2/2. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. When this creature dies, you may draw a card. I always like this. And
Yeah, me too.
You too?
Yeah. Just
it's
a
like
solid card.
Nice, basically 3/1. I want to B-.
Yep.
I just like it a lot.
Yeah, B- is exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's the first card in our B category here.
Yeah, there we go. It's a rare though, but it's the stat line is weak. The setting is just weak, but it does enough that you're happy with it.
Yeah, it's the whole package. It does fixing. It's a value card. It's not, you know. I'll read the next one here. We got Banner of Kinship up next. 5 colorless mana. As this enters, choose a creature type. The artifact enters with a fellowship counter for each creature you control of the chosen type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each fellowship counter on this artifact. So yeah, this is a kind of coat of arms of sorts. If anyone's old enough to remember that card. I generally just strongly dislike cards like this, but I will be honest, I have not thoroughly studied the creature types in the set. I know there's a lot of elves. I think there's cat tokens or something.
Fish.
So if you're able to submit a deck that's got a high density of a specific creature type, then I think this card will be pretty good in it. Quite powerful. But it does require you to like not trade early, not have all your creatures killed, because this doesn't fluctuate with how you develop your board. It's locked in and when you play it. That part of it makes it pretty obnoxious, and I don't really like cards that don't allow me to play combat the way I want to.
Yeah, it's kind of it's mostly like elves, I think, with the 2-mana elf that makes another elf when it enters the battlefield, and then there's a 5-mana elf that has landfall to make more elves. But it's also like, okay, are you just gonna trade your creatures normally and wait for this card? It's cause I mean, if you have 2 creatures and a lot of them left in the deck, that's kind of fine. What do you give it? It's a weird card.
I'm gonna give it a D because I don't think I'm gonna play it very often. I just don't think you're not gonna like take this and force elves or whatever. You're just gonna if you have to have an elf deck, which I don't even know if it's like a real. Doesn't seem to be like supported enough. There is some stuff, but it's not like over the top. You're gonna have like when you're a green deck, you're gonna be able to put together an elf deck. To me, it's like a D minus. I just don't think I'm going to have this card in my deck very much. That said, I haven't studied if all the red creatures happen to be mice or something, then we got a different story. Like if every color combination is able to put together the exact same creature type, then it's a lot better. But I don't think that's the case. I think this is just not gonna be in my deck very often.
I'm gonna give it.
I would be not surprised if I never put this card in a deck.
I think it can work with elves. There's enough just elves, and then you can get some elf tokens. There is Llanowar elves, which can.
Yeah, there's Llanowar elves, which is nice, and then there's like Dwyan's Elite. There's the 3/4 that used to be a rare. I think it got downshifted. I still just don't think you're going to have enough. Again, it's another problem of you have enough, but then you also can't play combat. I don't know. I'm just going to give it I'll give it a D minus. I just don't think I'm ever going to play this. It's like there's also the Heraldic Banner, right? That's kind of in the same category where it's like this one's much more powerful if you're able to accomplish it, but you need the game state to be appropriate.
Oh wait, I thought that guy from Modern Horizons is not in boosters. The 3-mana, the Springbloom Druid. I
didn't think so. That's in the whatever sets.
Yeah, so that one is not in there for the landfall as well. Okay, my bad about that one, guys. I'm gonna give this a D+. Okay. I think it's possible. I don't think you need to really change the way you play too much. It is gonna be complete garbage a lot of times. But I don't think you need to change the way you play like that much, because
this is the kind of card you definitely should be able to float it too, right? Like in a normal draft, like no one's going to really want this card. You'll know, and you'll probably be able to wheel it, kind of speculate on it, 10th, 11th pick or whatever. So it's not a card you're going to value super highly, but it can be powerful. It's just I think in most circumstances you're just never going to play it.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 is not going to be that hard with elves. So let's just keep it there as a D+. Hopefully it's gonna be fine. Next up we got Sire of 7 Deaths. This is a new one. For 7, it's a 7/7 Eldrazi. It has first strike, vigilance, menace, trample, reach, lifelink, and ward pays 7 life. I mean, this if you can get to, if you have a deck that's like aggressive decks, probably no way. If you have any deck that's fine at getting to 7 mana, most likely, like green is gonna be good there, but any maybe a little bit slower deck, it's mid-range slower. This is gonna mess up the game, right? It's
I mean, I would like it's it's not a deck that wants to be in an aggro deck, but if you're able to chip away at their life total, the ward becomes hexproof at some point. And I mean, this creature sitting in play is extremely powerful. It is the kind of card though, like you play it against, you play it, you have this plan that you kind of bridge to it and get to it, and then they Banishing Light it and pay 7 life, and it really didn't accomplish that much, right? Like if you're playing one of those games where it's all about board position and stuff, it's certainly not like an overwhelming bomb in my book, but it is definitely a powerful card. And you compare this to, we have the other 7 drop, right? Meteor Golem, and this is definitely better.
Yeah.
So, it's like, it's definitely a card that I'm gonna like, I'd say happily first pick, and then kind of not draft around, but like draft with it in mind the rest of the
Getting to 7.
the draft. So I would give this myself, I would give it probably a B+.
I'm gonna go to a bomb rating. I'm gonna give it an A-, because even in those decks that have a not like 7 mana is never easy, right? 7 mana is
Exactly.
there is no deck that's like, oh, 7 mana that's gonna be pretty fast. Nah, you're gonna have to wait a while. But even in the decks that are good at getting it, like mainly probably green, or maybe you have the pick to help you get there, huh? It's those decks are still attacking, right? And with this in mind, when you're kind of close to casting it, you're happy trading damage, right? You're happy like, okay, maybe opponent is more aggressive than you, but you're kind of like, okay, I'm gonna trade a bit of damage, so they cannot just remove this. And at that point, it just breaks the game at that point. But
yeah. If you're able to turn this thing on to hexproof, it's or essentially hexproof if their life total's low enough, they're at 10 and they're threatening to die to it. Yeah, it becomes
so
they can't attack through it, they can't block it, they can't.
They gotta get rid of it, and a lot of times they can't. They gotta get rid of it with removal, and a lot of times that just ain't happening. So yeah, A- for me, just because of no ETB.
Yeah, exactly. That's where 7 mana and no ATB makes it not a bomb to me, but close enough.
To me, it's like, I think, like for example, in this set,
either,
green decks were not that fast, right, at attacking, but you do attack. You do attack. You just trade damage. It's not like aggressive decks have 2-drops that are 5/5s. They have similar 2-drops to yours. They just have more of them and a little bit more ways of getting through. So you do trade damage in most of the games in limited, unless you just want to trade all the time. So yeah, A- for me, a very good card. Okay, we're gonna give all of these grades the same grade, right? All these lands.
But yeah, I mean, we're not gonna like. It's not like we played the set. We don't know what the best colors are, so you can't like, oh, I really want blue white, so this one's better. Yeah, I mean, the lands are good. I am always a huge proponent of mana fixing lands, which includes Evolving Wilds and 2-color decks, includes Evolving Wilds and 2-color aggro decks. I want to be able to cast my spells, so the lands to me are always kind of a C+, something like that. Like I take them over, of course, and even like not over the best commons, but next to it, like the good efficient removal. I don't take. It also depends how much you want to splash. I think there's splashable gold cards in this set. Not all of them are, by no stretch, but there's plenty of like something like Tatiova or whatever. You're going to want to splash that in a lot of your slower blue decks. The lands in general facilitate that. So to me, the lands are always going to kind of be a C+.
To me, these dual lands are going to be like a D+, because it's always about identifying like when you're playing a certain color, right? In those pack 1, pack 2, when you're kind of sure that you're playing one color, knowing like what colors you want to splash. So a lot of the lands are whatever, but then there are some, like for example, you're playing green in Duskmourn, green red. You're like, okay, I want to have blue lands to splash the Bookworm or something like that, and I want to have black lands to splash usually the Brood Spinner. So, and it just kind of interconnects. But then you're playing like Azorius, you don't care about lands. Then you're playing red, white, you don't care about lands. So I kind of average them out to just a D+. It's more like when you need them, when you want them, you take them. you're not going to be first picking lands, right? There is no domain or something like that. It's like when you're kind of sure what color you are, and either you already have a splash, or you know what uncommons, maybe commons, sure, but usually uncommons, you know that color pair that you're playing likes to splash. So yeah, just a D plus, but it goes higher, of course, but that's usually when you know what's up. So all of these that gain you 1 life, you give them all C, I gave them all C, D plus, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we got to a little bit of a better land, Evolving Wilds, which...
Yeah, I would definitely bump up Evolving Wilds because it's also there's landfall. So Evolving Wilds is clearly the best land in this set, I think, of the common cycle.
Same?
So I mean, if you want to give it a different rating, I'd give it a C plus. You can give it a...
No, I really like Evolving Wilds. I like a C plus on it. I really like Evolving Wilds.
I did the wrong thing.
And okay, I'm gonna continue reading while you're getting in the grades. They're all one after each other. I can put the grades. You can read the next one. I can just put in the grades.
Okay.
They're all the same, right?
Yep. All right. Secluded Courtyard is up next. As this enters, choose a creature. It taps for a colorless mana, and also taps for a mana of any color of the creature type you've chosen. So your elves deck, you can cast elves and whatnot. I don't really see this card being played very much. So D minus. I guess it's not an F, but it's pretty close. There's going to be circumstances where you splash some gold creature and it fits into your deck or whatever. But yeah, it's a D minus F to me. It's I never want to put a card like this in my deck that can't cast my non creature. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with F, and I fixed the one on here that. Do you want me to? Yeah, yeah. An F. Yeah, yeah. I, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think I'll ever play this card. I don't think I've ever played this kind of card. Dude, yeah, no. If you're splashing, like, I was thinking there's like a blue, green, gold card where this. I think it's an elf. I think it's an elf merfolk thing or whatever. If you're just a regular green deck, there's Tatiova, which is an elf, I believe. So this like if you're already like an elf focused deck and you want to splash these blue green gold creatures, that would be the time I would play these. It is very corner case. It's not that corner case, but it's corner case enough that it's not really a card you're gonna get for free if you want it anyways. You don't really need to.
Plus, it's not a basic
You know
land
when
to
to
search
play
for. So you cannot search for this with Evolving Wilds as well. Man, it's so bad. Thanks, guys. By the way, sorry, I just muted myself. I was writing something down. Anyways, next card is Rogue's Passage for. You can tap it for colorless. You can pay 4 and tap it. Target creature cannot be blocked this turn. I also think this is an F. It looks like, oh, I can pay 5 mana. It's not 4. 5 mana to make something unblockable. That's pretty cool. Yeah, but colorless land. It is so important to play your deck. Right? Everybody always unhappy when they're at mana screwed. Well, don't. We have like 8-9 is a normal land base for limited deck if you don't get extra lands. And that's not great. That's not great. That's just what we limited players get. You cannot get all the constructed cards and so on. So colorless lands are... It's huge problem. Like, sure, there's an upside, but you gotta play your deck. So no, thank you. Just an F.
I'm gonna give it a D. We do have raid in this set, so it gets a little value from that. There's permanents like the black, red, gold creature that trigger while they're in play, so you can like use this for that. It's definitely not a card I'm happy to rely on, but there are going to be circumstances where the effect is powerful enough to break through a stall that you're going to at least sideboard it in some matchups. But if your mana is good enough, you get enough of the Evolving Wilds, the dual lands and stuff, the mana isn't really an issue, and just having this kind of effect in your deck will be good. So to me, it's a D. But yeah, same sentiment. I don't like playing colorless lands unless they're really adding something to my deck.
Yeah.
And this does do that in some circumstances, but it's not as often. It's not a card you're always going to play or anything.
It's also
So a
so
D for
hard.
me.
Like this is gonna start activating deep into the late game, right? Because it's 5 mana to
Yeah.
make that attack.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, we're done with.
In most faster formats, it would not be playable, I think. But I
Sorry,
think this
what?
will be slow enough. I said in most faster formats, I don't think it would be playable. But I think in this specific core set environment, it is like it's been in other core sets before. It's been okay. I kind of have it in that same category. I'm just going to draw from that past experience where there was times I actively really wanted it, and there's other times. Most times I don't want it, but in some aggro decks I did actively want it. So
Yeah,
breaking through, like just attacking with that wary thespian on a stalled board, hitting for 3 every turn.
Oh yeah.
That does come up.
Thanks
So
for
a
the
D
raid,
me.
Floridaman. We are having a set review. Sigi is joining me. Sigi, I always say Sigi.
All good.
Sigi is joining me. Yeah, we are kind of done with colorless now. We have a Soulstone Sanctuary next, which taps for colorless, and for 4 mana, this becomes a 3/3 creature with vigilance and all creature types. It's still land. It doesn't really matter that it's all creature types.
To me, this kind of goes in the same category as the rogues. It's better than the rogue's passage, but it's not like substantially better. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this probably most of the time, unless I'm really concerned about my mana. So I guess it's better than Rogue's Passage. It's just it's not a card I'm always gonna want to play. It depends like how many pips I have. If I have multiple, double green and double blue cards, then I'm much more concerned with this. The 3/3 just isn't gonna break the game that much unless the game gets really grindy and resource intensive, like a black red mirror where you're exchanging removal on every creature you see. Then this is a more valuable asset in that circumstance. But it seems like this is just going to be another utility land that doesn't overshadow the board in most circumstances. So you're rarely gonna activate it, and
I much prefer lands with just activated abilities, just to activate them once, sacrifice them, get some cards or something.
yes,
in limited, right?
Yeah. This is just so much mana to invest.
You need to have 5 mana up.
Yep.
I'm on a D minus. I guess sometimes it's playable.
I'll give it a D. I think I'll play it a lot because I think that the format's slow enough that having just something. But
I think it's also just a 3/3 without flying or anything like that. Like in a stalled board, how much is a 3/3 really gonna do? Something. Block. Double block. Yeah.
There's like it'll get to trade with something else is the thing. It's a land that will trade with something else, which may have value. Are we doing these special guest cards?
No. We are gonna do the multicolored next.